Good morning, Kimberly. Can you hear me?
Sounds good. Good morning.
I barely can hear you, Kimberly, but I heard you.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, there you go.
Better?
Now I can hear you. Yeah, much
That's better. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Good morning, this is Andy. Checking in for a sound test.
Good morning. I think your sound works and sounds great.
Thank you.
Testing, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Sounds good. So if there's anyone from our applicant team in attendance that would like to check your sound, please raise your hand in the Zoom meeting format. If you're part of an applicant team and you'd like to do a sound check. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Kimberly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just want to make a note to our attendees. This is the webinar version of Zoom. So if you're confused, if maybe you feel like your camera's not working or your sound isn't working, we will give you opportunity to speak as the appropriate time comes. Cameras will not be functioning for our attendees, only for our staff and panelists. And we're getting down to our last couple of minutes here before we get started. Just want to let everyone know if there's anyone who is part of an applicant team who would like to do a sound check, please raise your hand within the Zoom format.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Gustafson. I'm zoning administrator, and I want to call this meeting of the zoning administrator September 16th, 2021 to order. Before we begin the items on our agenda, I just wanted to review a couple of things. First, this is a webinar or a Zoom meeting held virtually in compliance with the provisions of the governor's executive orders, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act, which allows us, the zoning administrator meeting, to be held as a virtual meeting. This is a normal public meeting. Participation and input would be allowed as if we were holding this meeting face to face. The difference is those of you who are on the Zoom call, you will need to raise your hand using the hand icon, and you'll be recognized. And when you are, you'll need to unmute yourself. If any of you are calling in, which is also the other way to participate, if you're calling in by phone, to be recognized, you will need to press *9, and you'll be recognized and allowed to make comment. This is a live streamed meeting. It will be recorded and will be available at the website, and I'll give you the URL. It's also on the agenda before you on the screen. It's https://www.youtube.com/City of Santa Rosa. So at the start of every meeting, we provide opportunity for members in attendance to make a public comment on a matter which is not on the agenda, but which is a part of the zoning administrator's jurisdiction. If you wish to make a public comment, please raise your hand or press *9 to be recognized. And seeing none, I will move on to our scheduled items for this meeting. We have 3 items on the agenda. First one is a public hearing item. All these items that we'll be discussing today may be appealed. The appeal period is 10 calendar days, or the first day after the 10th calendar day that's open for normal business. So that'll be the 27th of September. If you wish to appeal a determination made today, please contact the project planner and they will guide you through that process. All right, so with those preliminary steps out of the way, let's launch into our first item, which is a public hearing item for a hillside development permit at 3926 Chantrell Circle. And the project planner is Monette Sikali.
Thank you, Mr. Gustafson, and good morning. So I'm going to share my screen so I can start my presentation. There you go. So as you mentioned, this is a public hearing for single residents located at 3926 Chantrell Circle. This is a minor hillside development permit. So the minor hillside development permit is to add approximately 2,782 square feet, including garage, porch, and deck, to the rebuild project of 7,666 square foot single family residence that was destroyed by the top fire in 2017. As of this addition, about 1,042 square feet is outdoor covered area and 1,550 square feet is uncovered patio, stairs, and terrace. And the total area for the new residence with all the additions is going to be 9,511 square feet. And also, the applicant is proposing to add a new circular driveway configuration. In my next slides, I'm going to go over each one of those and explain them. So here is the current site. As you can see, the previous house had 2 driveways. One driveway was accessing from the north, and the other driveway that was added in 2003 or 2 is accessing through Rincon Ridge Drive. The parcel is zone PD, planned development, and the general plan land use is very low density residential. This is the previous house. And again, as you can see, 2 driveways were provided for the lot, and the new project will remove the driveway along Rincon Ridge because they are going to have only one driveway. So this driveways will be abandoned, will be closed, and a circular driveway will be added along Chandler Circle. So this is the previous house. As you can see, it was a 2-story building along Chanterelle, and on the back it was 1-story. This is the current lot is being cleaned, but you might seen in these pictures that lot has major major slopes, and the previous house actually was built on areas with slope more than 20 or 25%, and the new house is going to be placed at the same location. So here is the proposed site plan. As you can see, the driveway on the Rincon Ridge will be removed, and the new driveway will be added on this area and be connected to the existing driveway on Chanterelle Circle. And the majority of the house is going to be on the same location. Next slide, I will show you just approximately the previous location of the house and the new addition. So the green line shows the previous house, approximately where it was, and the red lines are showing the new addition. If you pay closely attention, you will see the majority of the house is going to be constructed at the same location. The extension of the stairs and porches along Chandler Terrace is basically most of the new addition, and some porch and terraces around it. And also here, the yellow line shows the new driveway that will be connected to the existing driveway. Here is the slope analysis. At the center, you will see slopes between 10 to 25% where the house used to be located. Let me show here. There you go. So let me go back here. The majority of the addition is in this area that is sloped less than 10%. And you can see here where the new stairs and porches will be located. And the driveway will be located on area with more than 10%. And here are the contours of the lot. Again, you can see the new addition is going to be located in this area that has slopes less than 10%, and the driveway will be located in the front. And in our zoning code, Hillside Development Permits allows driveways to be placed within the hillside area as long as they are not placed on slopes with more than 25%. And here is a section from the site. And here is the majority of the addition in the red box where it's going to be located. As you can see, here is the driveway where there will be some grading, but the new addition for terraces and porches are majority on a flat area, as you can see in this section. Here is the left elevation of the site. The maximum height has to be 35. It cannot exceed 35, and the applicant is proposing 33 feet and 4 inches. Here is another elevation that shows the garage. And this is the front elevation and the rear elevation. The front elevation is similar to the previous house, 2-story, and the back still 1-story. And these are the section. We had a person from the public having questions and comments regarding the height exceeds the required 35 feet. So the applicant provided these additional sections of the house showing the natural grade and an imaginary line as being described in our zoning code above the property to show the height does not exceed 35 feet as required by the plan development and as required by the zoning code. Here is another section that shows the natural grade and the height does not exceed 35 feet. So the notices were sent out. We received a public hearing request for today, and the comments and concerns were regarding the height of the proposed building and also about the project has to comply and meet with the CCNR's requirement. And the zoning administrator cannot approve the project because it needs to be approved by HOA. So staff has to mention that city does not enforce HOA and zoning code law exceeds HOA requirements. And I believe the person who had those comments is also available today, and the applicant is also available to answer any questions related to HOAs. And with that, the project has been reviewed in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and qualifies for a Class 3 exemption under Section 15303, in that the project is the construction of a new single family with minor expansion. And with that, the Planning and Economic Development Department recommends that the zoning administrator, by resolution, approve a minor hillside development permit for the property located at 3926 Chanterelle Circle. And that was my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Manette. And I have no questions. Your presentation was complete. Now it's opportunity for the project team or applicant to comment or provide more information. If you wish to do so, please raise your hand. You'll be recognized. And I see Mr. Farrell wishes to comment. Please recognize Mr. Farrell and unmute yourself, please, and you'll be able to be heard.
Thank you, Monet, and thank you, Mr. Gustafson. As Monet mentioned, the site does have significant topography challenges, which we attempted to mitigate in the design of the home by stepping it down towards the front. The addition of the uncovered area, as Monet explained, creates a lower profile as you step down the hill, and seeing as those areas are in the less than 10%, we thank her for explaining the clarity on those.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the team that wishes to comment, or the owner at this point? Seeing none, I'll close well, I'm not closing the public hearing. I offer the opportunity for any member of the public who wishes to comment on this project now to do so. And if you wish to do so, please raise your hand. And I see Mr. Eckel. Please be recognized and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This is Wade Eagle. I would like to thank the city staff and the property owner's agent for providing the additional information, and particularly the height relative to the slope, and those additional drawings were much more insightful, I should say, than what was originally submitted and available online. I think if information like that could have been provided initially, there wouldn't have been this back and forth between at least myself and the city staff and the applicant, which maybe for the future, to ensure that there is sufficient information for the public to comment upon, that would have avoided a lot of back and forth and use of city staff time, as well as the time of the public, that takes the opportunity to comment and review these things, and hopefully provide some thoughtful and useful comments back to the property owner, as well as the city staff. With that, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to comment? If so, please raise your hand. All right. Oh, we do have one, Mark Sharnas. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, thank you.
I understand the height limits. I just have a question. I'm currently across the street on Rincon Ridge, and wondering if there's any consideration taken into sight lines I have a view of Mount St. Helena currently, and it appears that the construction will block that view. I don't know if that's an issue that the city deals with at all, or just the height limit itself is considered enough.
Good question, and I will respond to that. I'll ask the project planner to respond to that in the comments or the at the close of the meeting here, so we can provide some insight on that. Any other issues or concerns? Any other member of the public that wishes to comment at this point? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Lynette, can you respond to the question regarding sight lines from neighboring properties, and also can you speak a little bit about whether there are any floor area limits, massing limits on the house other than height and lot coverage?
Oh, so the previous house was already two-story building up to 35 feet. So the new proposed house is not going to be more than 35. I wonder if, well, they meet with the total height and is not like increasing the height of the building. And the house majority is located at the same location. So it was, I don't know what to say. How about like if we have to change it for, if they were not doing the new addition and if they were rebuilding the house as it was, we would not have the today's meeting because they were replacing the previous house. But the reason for the today's meeting is addition of the driveway and those staircases that are outside. So the house is going to be at the same location with the same height. And it's not like it was a vacant lot and the new house is being proposed there. So
thank you. Yeah, and also, is it not true that the Hillside development permit does have findings regarding new development impact on public views from public places, including streets?
I believe.
I think that's one of the key findings. So I just wanted to kind of go into that little bit of detail.
I'm looking at the findings in our code right now. Its project grading respects natural features and visually blends with adjacent properties. Options of stepping to conform site topography. So those staircases are stepping down. I'm not sure which one says about the. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at those too. I think it's actually in the city design guidelines.
And there is one thing, Mr. Gustafson, the finding number 1 talks about tree clusters. This site did not have trees in the past, that many, and due to the fire, we have lost so many trees in that area, and it's so hard to make the first finding for this rebuild houses.
Well, and I think you're pointing out that this Hillside development permit is being brought forward to the zoning administrator because there's an addition to the former house, and the former house was 35 feet or less and 2 stories, and the addition would not increase the overall height, but
Correct.
it's really expanded towards
Right.
the downslope side and would not impact the view.
Like it wouldn't make changes in the previous view. It's going to be similar location. So in this lift elevation, basically those front terraces and steps are the additions.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for pointing that out and clarifying that, or responding to that question. I've reviewed the resolution that you prepared, and the findings that you make and the conditions of approval that are provided are appropriate for the Hillside development permit and this proposed replacement home. So with that, and the conditions of approval, I will approve the project as proposed. And as I said earlier, any determination made, including the approval of this project, may be appealed by the end of the day, September 27th. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item 3.2, another Hillside development permit at 3607 Crescent Circle. And the project planner is Connor McKay. Connor, are you ready to give your presentation?
Yes, I am. Thank you. What? No full screen mode. Well, is this okay? Can y'all see this big enough?
Connor, close the editing on the right and the full screen will work.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've made that mistake.
And there's my camera. Thank you so much, Mr. Zoning Administrator. My name is Connor McKay, City Planner, and I'm
Connor, can you expand it a bit more, or is it fully on the screen? Maybe I need to shift my screen to the larger computer. What do you
How's
go
that?
ahead and I guess on my end, sorry.
Kimberly, are you able to see it?
It looks full size to me.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so this is a Hillside development permit located at 3607 Crescent Circle. So this is a requested Hillside development permit for the reconstruction of a single-family dwelling lost to the Tubbs fire. The pre-fire square footage was 2,624 square feet, while the proposed square footage of the rebuild is 3,787 square feet. Pursuant to the Resilient City combining district measures, a Hillside development permit is required because the additional square footage is located on areas of 10% slope or greater. Here we have a location map of the site aerial on Crescent Circle. Here we have a site plan that shows where the property would be located on the site. So this is an interesting project because the site was over excavated by FEMA when FEMA was conducting its site remediation and cleanup. So there is a considerable amount of fill being brought back to the site, but the actual elevation of the site is similar to what was existing prior to the fire. Also, the applicant initially proposed even more fill, but with consultation with staff, we agreed on a compromise to reduce the introduced fill and kind of lower the overall elevation of the site. That still allows for a allows for a driveway to be constructed that is not exceeding 25% slope. Any less fill that would be introduced to the site would reduce in an overly sloped driveway. I'm trying to think if there was other things I wanted to mention here. So we did receive questions from some neighbors about drainage and just kind of the overall slope and what might happen in a weather event. And I spoke with the engineer that reviewed the project, and they said that compliance with the conditions of approval and the Exhibit A that discussed drainage would result in less than significant impacts to neighbors that are lower on the hillside in the event of a weather event. There was a question about the usability of that storm drain, and all that investigation would take place at the building permit stage, which is currently being reviewed, and the suitability of the storm drain would be resolved before any building permit is issued. But for the purposes of this hillside development permit, the planning entitlement, the engineering department has provided conditions of approval that they feel are suitable for the recommendation of approval of the project. So here we have the pre-fire footprint, an aerial of what the location looked like before the fire. And we have architectural elevations, architectural renderings, and with that, the Planning and Economic Development Department recommends that the zoning administrator by resolution approve a hillside development permit for the rebuild of a Tubbs Fire lot at 3607 Crescent Circle that is adding additional square footage compared to the pre-fire square footage in areas of 10% slope or greater. And I'm available to answer any questions. I do not believe the applicant or the design team are present to answer any questions, unfortunately, but we will do our best to respond to any questions that may arise.
Thank you, Connor. And again, I want to offer opportunity should any member of the applicant's team or owner be on the call, please raise your hand and be recognized. Seeing none. Oh, I do see Josephina has raised her hand. Are you part of the project team or applicant? If so, please comment.
I'm a neighbor, and my question.
Can I, one moment, please? I just want to make sure you'll have opportunity as a neighbor to comment, but I just want to make sure the project team or owner is not present, though Connor did say they're not. Just give me a moment here. Okay, apparently not. Okay, sorry, Josephina, for the interruption. Why don't you go ahead and comment? Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having this meeting. Good information. Thank you. So really my only concern is how are they going to take care of that big hill where there's all the dirt? I know they're going to build on top of it. You know, I don't want to assume they're going to put a retaining wall. I'm thinking they probably need to, but I don't know what they're going to do to make sure that the dirt doesn't slide down. Because it's about 12 feet. So when we're standing on our property, it's probably 12 feet taller than us. So that's all ground that can easily slide, even just in a minor rain, just in a regular rain event.
Good question, and we'll respond to that when we get to we'll call it the deliberation part of this meeting. Do you have any other comments regarding the project? Primarily, it looks like slope erosion issues potentially.
Correct. Slope erosion issues, drainage issues, but I'm sure you guys will, cross that barrier when you get there. But yeah, just want to know what it's going to be made of. Impact to the environment, impact to us. All those types of things. Just trying to be smart and have this discussion. Not only for ourselves, but just for all of us living in the area, how to do these builds correctly and wisely, moving forward.
Thank you. All right. Is there any other member of the public present that wishes to comment at this point? If so, please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. So Connor, can you respond to the question regarding slope erosion and drainage? I'll preface that or precede that by saying you did say there is a building permit, and a part of the building permit, there's development review, including on construction sites, erosion control, drainage improvements. Maybe can you elaborate a bit more or point out an Exhibit A or the conditions that will address that issue?
Yeah. So as far as materials for the retaining wall, we wouldn't necessarily review that at this point, because that is something that is reviewed by building staff and engineering staff as a result of a building permit review. So right now we would just review what is like proposed for the site, and I believe that there is a retaining wall, at least one retaining wall proposed, and that was reviewed by engineering and building, and they did provide conditions specifically related to its design that would prevent a landslide in the case of a weather event. But as far as the like precise materials and stuff like that, that isn't necessarily being reviewed as a result of this planning entitlement process, if that makes sense. I'm trying to pull up the Exhibit A, but I'm having trouble finding it. So bear with me, please. And if you have any questions about what I just said,
Well, I'll just kind of add to that is the city's stormwater programs are very focused on construction sites, and the final shaping or development of the pad that will be supporting the building. Erosion control is part of that for the purpose of helping to avoid the damage that might occur across property lines to a neighboring home, but also to help reduce the community-wide environmental impacts that sediment transported by stormwater can have upon our creek and water quality. So it's been it's an issue that's very much at the core of site development and is reviewed during the building permit process. So I think we have the case here where we have standard regulations involving this issue that are uniformly applied throughout the city, and that's, I would say, the state for that matter, that will help address this issue.
And I've just found the Exhibit A, and I apologize. I think the resolution will need to be updated to reflect compliance with these Exhibit A, because I think I failed to include that in the resolution that was included in the packet for this item today.
Okay, well, that's a good catch, and I'll also say here, whether that condition is in this approval or not, it will be required of the building permit anyway.
Right.
This permit does memorialize, for the purposes of this entitlement, that requirement will be imposed on the building permit. But thank you for catching that, Connor, and we'll ask that the resolution be updated to include that standard requirement. Are you able to share it with?
Yeah, let's see if I can do that. It might be a little bit small. View one page, zoom in. All right, so I think the one that we One of the questions was about that private storm drain. And like I said, all of the portions of the private storm drain system shall be inspected and restored to a functioning state prior to finalization of the building permit. So no work would be performed until it's been 100% verified that that private storm drain is capable of serving the site. I'm not seeing anything specific about the retaining wall in the Exhibit A, but I believe that the conditions about, let's see, latest adopted ordinances, resolutions, policies, I think that we have some catch-all conditions that ensure that we're complying with retaining wall material standards and design that would prevent landslides and stuff like that. So I'm really happy to expand on any of this or respond to further questions if Josephina has any.
And I don't know, Josephine, you raised your hand, I think. Do you have? Okay, no longer. All right. Well, I just want to underscore that this hillside development permit is to allow an expansion of a home that was lost during the fire to expand its footprint. And that the house will be, construction of the house, the development of the property, the grading on the property will be subject to standard building code, geotechnical design requirements, and that those will address issues regarding site erosion, stormwater runoff, and help to ensure that any private drainage facility on the property that helps to protect neighboring properties in the community will be functioning. This resolution, I think, Connor, you're correct, should include a standard condition that's typically required or listed here, referencing Exhibit A, for the purposes of acknowledging or memorializing the project will be subject to those engineering requirements. And with that, I will approve the project with the additional or modified condition of approval. Again, this project is approved subject to the appeal, no appeal being filed by the end of the business day, September 27th. All right, so that concludes that matter. I will go to the last item on our agenda, which is, get my agenda back, is another conditional use permit for 2765 Santa Rosa Avenue. This project is presented by Mr. Adam Ross. Adam, are you ready?
Yes, sir, Mr. Zoning Administrator. I don't have a presentation, but I'll just share the project plans and go through that. It's a pretty straightforward project. The item is, sorry, I closed out my window here. So the item is a conditional use permit for 2765 Santa Rosa Avenue. It's a Petco vet clinic within an existing Petco. It involves the internal conversion of interior space that would create this full service pet vet clinic, which would then have outpatient surgeries. No overnight surgeries are involved. The project was reviewed by all staff, including traffic, as it relates to the intensity of the use, and those were all found to be oh, thank you. Just going to show that. So if you see the striped building here on the right, it shows the existing Petco facility at the Santa Rosa Shopping Center. It's all existing. It was built as a comprehensive shopping center, so the parking breakdown is one space per 250 square feet. When you include all of these buildings on the site, you need around roughly 707, I think you'd round up 708 parking spaces for the entire site. And there are 750 available on the site, so there's adequate parking for this use and the other uses to remain. And I think if you go down to the next page, Kimberly, that's you. Yeah, perfect. And then so this is the internal conversion of the site as well. There's no additional space, no outside modifications proposed with this project. It's within the general commercial zoning district, retail and business services, which this use is allowed via minor use permit approval. With that concludes my presentation. I'm unsure if there is applicant staff on the call or the Zoom call, but I can answer any questions, and if they are, I'm sure they'd raise their hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. So to clarify, this is really occupying a portion of the existing pet retail store. It does not intensify the use and there is no exterior change.
Correct.
Excellent. All right. Is there any member of the project applicant team or applicant that wishes to comment? If so, raise your hand. Seeing none, I will offer the opportunity for any member of the public in attendance who wishes to comment on this project. Please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Adam, this is a very straightforward internal repurposing of use, accessory to, compatible with the existing pet store. No intensification, as you noted in your presentation, in terms of parking or change. So this is a matter that can be approved, or this is a project that can be approved as recommended, subject to the conditions of approval. Appreciate you bringing this forward. And that is the last item on our agenda today. So
thank you.
It's my pleasure to adjourn this meeting at 11:13. And thank you all for attending. I appreciate it.